Hello again, it's panel time, and I'm happy to invite back on the stage our speakers. Please welcome them back on the stage. Gentlemen, please join me here. Welcome, have a seat. It's a pleasure having you at Webit.
Great being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not going to ask you too many questions, but I believe they'll be important for our audience. And if you have any questions, please ping us through Twitter again. I'm following my Twitter, and obviously you will see the questions over there on the screen. So, Ben, I'm going to start with you. You've touched, during your presentation, you've touched the topic of the importance of using multi-channels. It's a mobile stream right now, of course, but and obviously we are going to elaborate on the topics around how this in general is changing the way brands communicate, the way we keep on our contact with the customers. But let's continue from where you stopped. You just touched it as a multi-channel. So could you please tell us more about it?
Sure. Well, first off, in mobile, you have many different sources of traffic, many different avenues where you can acquire users and get your message out there. Ranges from social, DSPs, video, RTB, and really each has its own kind of characteristics, and each has its own. Each source of traffic has its own valuable users at a certain price point. I mean, you can see there's quite a wide variety, and it's important to cast the widest net. When looking for data, I mean, why limit yourself to one specific niche? It's a bit too narrow. It's better just to broaden it out. And not only when you do mobile, but make sure that you have a bigger message going out there as well. Make sure you have some PR in there. Make sure your email, mail shots are going out. Like, the more all-inclusive your marketing campaign is, not just on mobile, but in general, the more successful it will be.
Which one you would say you should not miss at all?
That's a tough one. Kind of depends on how you, obviously social's big, Facebook, Twitter, the targeting capabilities you're able to do there are amazing. Video, I mean, it's like a TV ad on your phone, which is great. And RTB, because of the way in which the inventory is purchased, is extremely, effective. So it's hard to say, but I'd say at least those top three.
Right, well, RTB and programmatic were a major topic yesterday at the very opening of the Congress. I think our community here is already, built additional awareness around it. So I would be interested to hear questions around that. But thanks for the answers. So let's try to elaborate around what are the major changes in the brand communication that mobile is bringing? I mean, really the trends that are there. I mean, we have countries, for example, in the Middle East, we have countries with over 78% of smartphone penetration. And it's totally amazing, right? Then obviously it's going to be changing the way we use these devices further. So what do you think, what do you expect will be the major changes in the upcoming next months, year?
Well, I think you'll see kind of Twitter really go up to scale. More importantly, I think it's just a maturing of the industry itself. And as things get, I mean, what we're able to do now on mobile, look at what we were able to do 18 months ago, 2 years ago, and we're light years ahead of that. In mobile, with such an industry that's moving so quickly, every quarter is like a year. So when you have 18 months, you got 6 years effectively that have kind of evolved since then. And I think it's just going to be more of the same, just better. And maybe a bit more coherent as well. It'll be easier to understand. The one slide I showed that had the Luma landscape, I mean, that should be making a lot more sense, I think, in the near future.
What will be the Starcom MediaVest point of view here?
I think what we're doing with mobile is, with our clients, is we're trying to understand how effectively to leverage it. Certainly, consumers' behaviors far ahead of where spending's going. We all know that. So you ask yourself, why is that? And then, how do you use this device that does everything from engage people, certainly all the way through commerce? One of the key structures that we're seeing a lot of our clients is starting to look at it through that consumer journey or that path to purchase. From awareness to purchase to loyalty. And I think some of the big step change we're seeing in mobile is in that transaction space. Without a doubt, you're able to use mobility as a new search. You're able to track in terms of people's location. When you're able to do that, you're able to move people through that path to purchase, through that purchase decision. So whether it's couponing, whether it's looking for information at the point of shopping, or whether it's actually transacting, we're seeing a lot of people do that. And that's certainly where a lot of our clients are looking to put more money, going from awareness to the purchase to the loyalty.
Kaya, what's your point of view? Obviously, we invited you here to this panel because I think that last year we have had a couple of startups who are, it's already improper to be called startups. For example, LoopMe from UK, they've done some amazing job. They already start working with some major players around globally. But it was an amazing way of, voting for advertising banners online, on mobile. So, I mean, these things are totally changing. So what would be your point of view? Where do you see things going?
I mean, I think you have to distinguish between the user acquisition side and the monetization side, speaking of marketing. So on the user acquisition side, what we have observed over the past 12 months, and which is a trend that will grow only stronger, is actually adding to that. So what we have seen and what we are doing now is a lot of the install campaigns that the focus is rightly on lifetime value. So it's actually not about acquiring some users, it's about acquiring ROI positive users. And how do you do that, or how do we see the trend evolving there? So we are basically factoring in into 3 core groups. After driving an install, we look at engagement, we look at virality, and we look at monetization. So engagement, we look after the install happened, has this user actually finished a tutorial, or has he passed level 1 or level 2, etc. Then we look at virality, has he ever invited any Facebook friends? And at monetization, you would look at, okay, has he spent money, and if so, how much has he spent? And taking all these data points to really look what are the ROI positive and the most ROI positive user acquisition channels into spending marketing budgets. Yeah, this is I think on the UA side. On the monetization side, I think it's definitely native advertising.
It always gets very controversial when we talk about content and conferences. It's always, whenever you follow, even though at our Twitter, I never saw, and you know that it's not moderated, right? I already told you this, that you can. And right now, I think we have over, 20 or 30, I have to ask my team, 1,000 people watching online on our channels. So, and we still don't have any bad things, that's good. But at the end of the day, you have, it's always says, yeah, they always share some and the same things, the same rock stars giving concerts in different places. But again, backstage, we were discussing that even, some of the most sophisticated global advertisers are still, I'm trying to use the right word, but let's say they're still not using or refrain from using all these opportunities, or they're using it in not the full capacity. So what's next? I mean, let's say technology is developing. It's quite well seen. We had also discussions around fraud in RTB and programmatic here. We were discussing how we can actually make sure that all the information is clear during the metrics in data, how advertisers want to measure and how publishers really measure. So it's all about that. So how do you see this developing? I mean, how your technologies, for example, will help that way?
I think what you're going to see more and more is seamless cross-device interaction, right? So your desktop won't be very dissimilar from your phone or your tablet. We'll have one coherent story about one user. Right now, we have stories about different devices, different instruments, right? You have your desktop computer, you have your tablet, you have your work computer, you have your work phone. And pretty soon we'll be able to put the pieces together and be like, this is one, all these devices are used by one person, right? And in different ways. So then you have that contextual kind of, when someone's at home, you deliver a different message than when you do when they're out in the street. It's all very different. And I think, again, to Kaya's point, the native advertising is extremely powerful. That Happy Fun Mall example is a perfect one. I mean, it will all just become much more seamless. The ads will actually be the content that you're actually looking for. It will be part of your experience. And more importantly, the advertiser will be able to understand who the person is behind all these devices, not just an IDFA code or an Android ID.
What do you think?
I go back to what brands and what consumers are looking for. It's not about the device as much as it's about the value. And storytelling is, in the creative business or in the engagement business, a big part of that. So people that are able to take, whether it's the ability with precision audiences now, whether it's content and the ability to get content more liquid, cheap, whether it's programmatic, whether it's mobility. It's connecting the dots on that to really, at the end of the day, give the consumer a better experience, bring your brand into that in a relevant way, and reward people for doing it, because we're going to be able to target better, serve up more content, measure it, be more agile in the way we deliver it, and that mobile device is the epicenter for what we're all trying to do, which is better engagement. So that's happening. There's countless examples around the world where people are putting those pieces together. Some are doing it faster, some are doing it slower.
Kaya, during your presentation, you have you had this talk about a native advertising and the challenge to scale programmatically. Could you elaborate around that? And we have a couple of questions from the audience. It's also around that. So,
sure. So what I was showing was an example or the challenge of customizing an ad unit completely, but then still accommodating for increased budgets that are traded programmatically on RTB and also on non-RTB. Yeah? So how do you do that? And we see, or what we are pushing as well, and where we are hopefully co-shaping the industry going forward, is that we can these buckets that I showed in my presentation, that we can predefine a certain number of assets. These can be, for example, that every advertiser must put into any kind of DSP. Like if we are talking performance marketing, it should be the app name, it should be a certain creative, it should be a description text, it should be a download button, it should be whatever. Yeah? So maybe take 5 of these assets, standardize it, so every advertiser needs to pull this, because they are, in any way, they are in all ads, these elements. And then, as a publisher, you can still customize and say, I don't want to show all these 5 assets, I only want to show app icon and the name, because it's more native, like the Happy Labs example that I showed, and can still programmatically serve this ad, because I don't need to pull all the assets, I can just pull one asset. But all of the assets are available and they are standardized. And this is how you can scale programmatically native advertising, and it's exactly what PubNative is doing. Yeah.
Maria Rashowska, thanks for asking. Performance on native mobile advertising versus traditional mobile advertising formats. She shared actually a nice photo of your presentation, Kaya. Yeah, so that's what she was mentioning here. All right, so guys, you have any questions? Obviously, we covered all the topics. I'm trying to find your questions on Twitter. Are you typing or just taking pictures of us? Hi. Good. So, thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and know-how. I want to see you back here next year, seeing where is it going, how is it developing. We were supposed to have one more amazing partner here and speaker on stage, sharing on different part of the mobile experience. Unfortunately, last-minute changes. They're even one of our partners. Obviously, it's been something serious, so they couldn't manage. But thank you so much for sharing this, and I hope you're going to get a great round of applause for being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we will continue now, and I will leave you in the hands of my team. I want to remind you that we have some great presenters coming up from all around the world, like from Germany, Lufthansa. Lego sent it's going to be about social media, and it's going to be absolutely interesting. We're going to see some secrets inside of the Lego social media room, how they monitor what they're doing, and for me, they're one of the best in the world. I mean, I started playing Lego games on my, well, I have 2 little kids, so that probably was one of the reasons. But I'm so much impressed by what they're doing. So we're going to have some great case studies later on. Thanks again. And in the other room afterwards, we are going to have the startup pitches, and then startup awards, and IoT hackathon presentations of the things that the developers did. So once something finishes, please join us in the Leaders of the Future Technology Summit. Thanks again. Thank you.